That day, on one of the crowded streets of New York, everyone who followed the normal traffic in the city was somehow continuing their routines in the hustle and bustle of life. On the corner of Times Square, an old man was begging on the street. He had a worn-out coat on, his hair and beard were long and dirty, and his eyes were filled with deep sadness. He had his hands in his pockets, his face was wrinkled. The crowd around him did not question him or his life. They were just passing by, each on their own. The man stood in the same way every day, looking at a cardboard box to be dropped a few coins. But no one knew the story behind him. After a while, a car arrived from the other side of the city. As it was slowly moving, a figure appeared inside the vehicle. It was the big businessman and former President Donald Trump, who everyone in New York knew at that moment. Trump was walking quickly past the crowd after a business meeting. At that moment, he stopped. His eyes noticed the old man as he watched the crowd. At this moment, when millions of people in all of New York were in a rush, his eyes caught sight of that old man. At that moment, people started to watch Trump in surprise. Trump stopped, took out a $1 bill from his pocket and slowly placed it in front of the old man. "Here I am helping you," he said, and paused as he was about to turn around quickly. But at that moment, he noticed something. The old man raised his head for a moment and examined Trump with his eyes. This man was not just a beggar, he was much more. Trump did not withdraw his hand and moved towards the old man. "It is not enough to give you this," he said. "I need to get deeper into your story." While everyone watched this moment in surprise, Trump offered the man a chair and asked, "Sit down. Do you want to talk?" The old man hesitated a little at first, but then he nodded and sat down. And with each passing second, he became more and more relaxed in front of Trump. He took a deep breath and started to speak. "I have had everything my whole life," he said. "I used to be a successful businessman, but when things started going wrong, I couldn't tell anyone about my troubles. I had everything, but suddenly it all disappeared. No matter how much I loved people, sometimes life can be cruel. And then, one morning, everything disappeared. That day, everything was lost because of a mistake. Now here I am, on the street." Trump paused for a moment as he looked intently into the old man's eyes. He saw the deep pain in his story. "Sometimes life leaves you at your worst," he said. "But what matters is who doesn't leave you." Trump reached out his hand to the old man and said, "Your story is not over yet. Even when everything is lost, there is always another way. No one moves forward without falling and getting back up." At this moment, a crowd began to gather around them. Many people were watching this moment, and they were momentarily silent. Tears welled up in the old man's eyes. Trump's words seemed to touch his life at that moment. "No one has ever approached me like this," he said. "Nobody has ever spoken to me like that in my entire life. I only asked for money, but you gave me hope." Trump nodded with a smile. "I helped you," he said. "But that help is not measured in money. It's about the value we show you. It's not about how people see you when you're down, but how they support you when you get back up. This $1 was just the beginning. This is an opportunity to start over." The old man wiped away his tears and thanked him. "I used to have a lot of money, but I never understood people," he said. "But this dollar is worth much more. I'll never forget it." At that moment, not just a beggar was being helped. A truly great change was taking place. That $1 was not just a symbol of money, but a meaning powerful enough to change a person's life. On that day, people on the street were not just given money, they were given hope. It was a chance for the old man, and a lesson for Trump. This story was a reminder of how important it is for people to connect with each other, to reconnect with life without losing hope, not just with a dollar. That dollar left a legacy that is perhaps too valuable to be replaced by any wealth in the world.